What's up guys, Tommy Bowyer here from Movie Rewind, and today we will be reviewing X-Men Dark Phoenix. So without further ado, let's get into it. So in terms of character development, this movie does neglect quite a few characters in my opinion, which is always the problem with X-Men movies. They sometimes neglect certain members of the crew because they're usually a big cast. Now, Jean Grey and the Dark Phoenix character herself probably has the most development, which you think would happen as the movie is called X-Men Dark Phoenix and it is about the Dark Phoenix saga. So her development I actually think is okay. I understand her character and I feel it's quite loyal to the Dark Phoenix storyline. However, the character which probably gets neglected the most is Michael Fassbender's Magneto. Now, I honestly don't know if they just kind of put him in to the movie because they know everyone loves Michael Fassbender's take on Magneto. However, his character just ends up getting neglected, to be honest. We see the usual, he's trying to be good and then, he starts wanting revenge and turns evil again and then all of a sudden he's good again. So that's, that's kind of been done in all of these X-Men prequels. So, except the first one. So yeah, no real new development there. I think Beast required a lot more development because, spoilers alert, Mystique dies in this movie. And I feel they could have done a lot more with Beast, how he grieved through all that. I don't think they give him enough attention. So yeah, I think that this movie gives Jean Grey and the Dark Phoenix enough character development. However, I feel like everyone else is kind of excluded and doesn't get the development they need. So I'm going to give character development a 5 out of 10. So in terms of the performances, the majority of the actors in this movie give great performances. And I can't really fault the talents of James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jenifer Lawrence. They all give great performances. So I can't really fault them. They are all committed to the script, and while the script isn't great, you can tell that all the actors are committed and they understand their characters, because this is the 4th prequel and some of these actors have been in the franchise, for quite a few years now. I mean, James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender have appeared in 4 films now, and you can tell they understand the characters and they're trying to do their best with the script they've got. So I'm going to give performances a 7 out of 10 because I do think the performances is a highlight of the film. The effects in this movie are also pretty well done, and you can tell that they really did try to make the effects good. And that's the thing, a lot of these X-Men movies, whether you don't really like the performances or you don't like the story and writing, the effects are usually top-notch, and in this movie they don't disappoint. They have a lot of visual styles with the Dark Phoenix, and I enjoy the effects. It was a good, visually, it was a great movie to watch. So I'm going to give the effects an 8 out of 10 because in terms of effects, I feel like they could have been a bit more experimental with the effects for Dark Phoenix. However, the effects they do provide are a lot better than the Dark Phoenix effects used in X-Men The Last Stand. Now let's turn to the weakest part of this movie, and that is the story and writing. Now, with a lot of X-Men films, I think the story can either be really great, to name examples, X-Men First Class, X2 X-Men United, X-Men Days of Future Past, or they can be really bad, so X-Men Origins Wolverine and X-Men The Last Stand. And then, somewhere in the middle, is X-Men Dark Phoenix. To be honest, I know a lot of people were saying that there was a lot of social justice in this. I didn't really see a lot of it. I mean, when Jenifer Lawrence says, oh, we should be called X-Women, not X-Men. Yeah, that was a bit. However, it weren't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And to be honest, I thought what all her characters been through, I thought it was more about the X-Men being in danger rather than the women doing all the work. So I think people played that up a bit bigger than it should have been. I feel like this movie is a bit rushed. Michael Fassbender's Magneto's kind of just thrown in. They kill off Mystique. I think they just kill her off because Jenifer Lawrence didn't really want to do any more X-Men movies, so they've killed her off. And they do focus a lot on Jean Grey, which is good for a Dark Phoenix movie. I think they handle the Dark Phoenix storyline a lot better than they did in X-Men The Last Stand. However, it's still a bit clunky, the writing, you know, it goes a bit too fast in some places, it goes a bit too slow in other places, and a lot of the characters like Quicksilver, Mystique and Magneto all kind of get neglected with the script, and they I don't know, I think there was just too many characters in this movie, and it just got all a bit of a mess with what characters they were trying to focus on. So I'm going to give the story and writing a 4 out of 10 because it's not the best X-Men film I've ever seen. However, it's not the worst. So for this movie's special recognition, it's going to be a bad one, and that is plot holes. Now, I know that the X-Men timeline has a lot of plot holes. However, I remember in X-Men Days of Future Past, and this is a spoiler, Jean Grey was alive. And at the end of this movie, Jean Grey dies. So, unless something really strange happens, then this movie really doesn't make sense. And that's the massive problem with these X-Men prequels, because they've changed the lore so much that I don't really know what's going to happen. I mean, technically, if you look at the events of Logan, all the X-Men are dead. There's just, this movie, I feel, doesn't take note of the other movies, especially Days of Future Past. So this movie doesn't make sense when comparing it to the other X-Men prequels. So I'm going to have to give, for these plot holes, a 3 out of 10 because it's just bad. It's just bad story writing and bad, it's bad franchise building, because, you know, if you want the fans to respect the franchise and the timeline, then you do really need to put an interest. You can't say Jean Grey's alive and then Jean Grey dies, because I don't know what to believe now. X-Men Dark Phoenix is a strange movie. In production before Disney bought Fox, I feel that Fox didn't really know where to go with this movie. With all the main cast from the original trilogy dropping out, they turned to the prequels once again for a 4th prequel. The only problem is this prequel feels more constrained than the others, and it doesn't seem a good storyline or anywhere they actually really want to go. So I'm going to give X-Men Dark Phoenix a 27 out of 50, which gives it a grade 4 ranking. To be honest, I feel like this movie didn't need to be made. However, it does give us a better Dark Phoenix movie adaptation than The Last Stand did. So thanks for watching, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed my X-Men Dark Phoenix movie review. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe in order to receive great and maybe even improved quality content in the future. And I will see you in another one. See ya!